This gospel reading in John brings to my mind something that we know is happening in this story that we've heard so many times, some of us many times, even in this weekend. We hear it many times, and sometimes it takes a while to sink in, and so it's good for me to hear it again and again each year, and then now. And what I was thinking about is that the whole creation, which Jesus was part of making, we hear in John's gospel. The whole creation was praising God on the night that Jesus was born. And we are part of that creation. And so we are here praising God once again because we're part of the creation that God made. And so I brought a story for y'all this morning, and it's called The Song of the Stars. And it talks about what was happening that day, that it wasn't just what we hear about, the angels and the shepherds and Mary and Joseph and the wise men and that story we know so well, but it was the whole creation getting ready for Jesus to be born, and that we're a part of that creation because we're a part of the people that God made. It's called The Song of the Stars. The world was about to change forever, and it almost went by unnoticed. But the leaves that night rustled with a rumor. News rang out across the open fields. A song drifted over the hills. The wind even whispered it softly. The sycamore trees that waved their moonlit branches in the sky. A barn owl took flight. Woodland creatures stirred. It's time. It's time. In the pine woods, 2 deer raised their heads. A big brown bear sniffed the air. A red fox started. The faces of little flowers lifted to the skies. It's time. It's time. The skies shouted it to the seas that thundered it, to the waves that roared it, to the great white whales that sang it to the starfish in the deep. And tiny sandpipers danced it on shining sands. It's time. It's time. The running rivers bounded over boulders, and the otters clapped and played and sang to the ducklings that splashed and quacked, to the salmon that leaped and leaped. It's time. And tiny field mice and insects and little creeping things and sparrows and robins and every single blade of grass squeaked and hummed and chirped and sang. It's time. It's time. Wild stallions drummed it to the ground. Get ready, be glad, be glad. On a lonely peak, a lion raised his head and roared it out to the empty wilderness. The mighty king, the Prince of Peace. All the stars joined together in a chorus that rang out through the heavens, the bright and morning star. And on a hillside overlooking a little town, sheep nuzzled their new lambs and said, "The Good Shepherd is almost here." Suddenly angels lit up the whole sky, and a great choir sang it out loud. It's time. He's come. At last, he's here. And in a little town, in a little shed, in a little window, a candle flickered in the dark, and a tiny cry rang out in the cold night air. And high above, a single star, set in the highest heavens, shone out brighter than all the others, and poured down silver onto that little shed, a light to light up the whole world. The animals stood around his bed, and the whole earth and all the stars and sky held its breath. The one who made us is coming to live with us. And a young mother with no place to rest, nowhere to stay, kept it as a song inside her heart. Our rescuer, she said. And they all gazed in wonder at God's great gift. Lying in a bed of straw wrapped in rags, a tiny little baby, heaven's son, sleeping under the stars that he made. Amen.